Hey there, Simmers, it's ScrunchieSim. Recently on my Sims 2 Facebook group, there has been a tiny home build challenge going around. And I'm not much of a builder. I'm a big fan of the Maxis builds, and then I totally renovate them. I like to gut renovate those, make the layouts less, if you know how Maxis layouts are, you know what I mean. But I don't like build from scratch a ton. So this was interesting. I also build pretty modest homes typically, but I never specifically build tiny homes. I don't have a lot of like one sim households. They're a little bit I don't know about boring, but there's not as much like challenge in a one sim household. I usually like at least a 3 sim household. 2 sims gets a little stale sometimes, so I like to throw in a third. But this challenge is kind of the first like tiny home challenge I have tried. Did I actually make a home that's necessarily tiny? No. No, I don't think I did. I made a home that is small. I made a small home. This is a small home challenge. But I still like it. I still think it would be playable, and I kind of want to play in it. It seems nice. I could see it going in, honestly, a lot of neighborhoods in The Sims. The architectural style I was going for was kind of Southern inspired. I don't want to say it's specifically Southern. I think the porch would perhaps be bigger. It would be a little less craftsman-y. You'll see later when I put some columns in that it looks a little craftsman. But I think it's very bungalow. Like if you think of the word bungalow and close your eyes, it's a little close to what this is bringing to the table. But honestly, the inspiration for this house it kind of came from a weird place. I had just recently watched the Netflix film TallGirl, which, if you don't know, when it came out last fall in 2019, it had a bit of a hullabaloo around it because it was kind of ridiculous. It's about the plight of a very tall girl in high school and how this causes so many issues for her. And here's the thing. I am a tall girl. I am a tall girl TM. But the way it portrayed these issues that we tall girls go through was kind of ridiculous. It was very funny, very Netflix movie-y, so people on social media kind of glommed onto it. But I watched it, finally, after all this time, because some of my friends and I did a little PowerPoint party over Zoom as the quarantine days go. So I was doing a report on it. So I watched Tall Girl. And inexplicably, Tall Girl is set in New Orleans. Don't know why. But it did give the chance for some cool exteriors, some cool architecture, some cool paint jobs on set architecture. So I got a little bit of inspo. There were a lot of like blue houses, a lot of architectural details in molding, in like windows and doors, in columns, in porches. So I got some inspo from that. I've also been taking a lot of walks. My mother and I have been walking around the neighborhood basically every morning. And so I like to look at the houses. I like to think of what I would do with them in the Sims houses. I kind of think, I don't know, I might make some more houses based on inspiration from houses I see. But there's a part of some of the neighborhoods that have these nice, like, a little bit older, smaller houses that I really like. I think they're very charming. Normally I live in New York. I am back home in my home state of Virginia for the coronavirus quarantine period. But if I lived here full time in a more like small town atmosphere, I would like to have a small little cottagey house with a porch. That sounds nice. It sounds very ideal. So this is a little bit of that with some cool architectural details. Now, in The Sims, I kind of, even though it's not real life, even though like progression and age and time doesn't work the same, I like to have kind of an architectural backstory for my build. So the idea is this is like an older home, that was gut renovated basically. So the inside furnishings are pretty modern, they're pretty cool, they're very like, I don't know, I feel like some of them are a little like rustic chic. You would see someone like redo something and flip a house this way. But the architecture outside itself is very historic. Not necessarily traditional, I would call it, but has some character to it, as they would say. Anyway, You can see me messing around a lot with doors. I could not decide what kind of doors to put on this thing, because I kind of wanted it to be symmetrical. And then I thought it doesn't have to be symmetrical, especially because I'm using these doors from the Mansion and Garden pack, which is a stuff pack I got like only over the past few years, so it's actually kind of new to me. And I haven't used a lot of the architectural like details, the doors and things from that. I haven't really put them into my build so much because I feel like they have such a specific style to them that I didn't really know where to put them. But this kind of gave me a chance to play around with them, and I really like this style and the colors that are included in it. So it kind of served as my jumping off point, my inspiration for this build. I'll tell you, I agonized over the color of that porch. I'm still not quite sure I made the right decision on that one. It's black, which I think is correct. I think dark is good. None of the woods really suited it. I kind of wanted like a stone grayish thing, but all the ones that I tried were way too textured. It was too busy. And this one sort of blends in, so I think it finally works, especially once I put landscaping around it. You'll kind of see that it blends. It doesn't like catch the eye as much. But honestly, I'm not quite sure on that. I might just need to get some different CC or something. I don't know. It's one of those times where I was in the game and I was like, I do not know what I'm going to use for this. Nothing looks quite right. If you have an idea on what I could have used on that, like, please tell me. Do you have a favorite like porch flooring that isn't wood? Because I usually make porches wood. That is like some kind of stone. I would love to hear the stone in the game itself. I feel like is a little bit busy often, or a little bit too like uniform. It's like cut stone, not necessarily like raw edge. I would love to see alternatives. Do you have a favorite CC, floor that you use? Maybe it's something from another game. Maybe it's something from a pack that I have not noticed. I would love to hear about it. Seriously. I chose navy as the color scheme for this. I'm not sure why. I don't particularly, I like navy. Navy's a good color. I was wearing navy pants earlier. But I think it kind of has that like modern Reno vibe while still being one of the colors from those architectural details from Mansion and Gardens that I used. So I liked it. I also like how it's not necessarily a neutral, but it's like enough of a neutral at this point in culture in our time right now that it kind of acts as a neutral. And this house, since it was for a challenge, wasn't specifically for a family of Sims. My favorite kind of builds, or at least my renovations, are when I have a very specific family with very specific needs that I know what needs to be there, because I'm not always designing like for the interior design. I'm designing for like, oh, what would they put where, like what thing would they buy, and I like kind of the joy of that. But this is very different. So I'm just like coming at it from a straight up stylistic perspective, and navy spoke to me. Navy was there. Navy, black, white, this kind of tan color. That's the scheme. Little accents of the purple. We love a good perp. Big perp fan. And circling back, I did use CC for this house. I do usually have CC in my game. And in the rules, it didn't say it had to be no CC. It doesn't even need to be downloadable. So I like to keep this CC in. I feel like it broadens my ability to do things. It broadens like my color palettes. I also don't have every single pack. And as long as I have CC, I'm not going to buy a lot of the stuff packs for Sims 2, just because I don't necessarily feel like I need those to supplement my game if I've got a lot of great stuff in CC. And the one thing I love about Sims 2 is that the community's been around for so long that, there's a lot of good CC built up there. There's a lot of things you can find. If you're thinking about it, somebody has probably thought about it. I will say one thing. One thing I've never been able to find for, I think, any Sims game, but there might be some for Sims 4 now, is an actual, like, scrunchy hairstyle. For my name, ScrunchieSims. I would love to be able to have a sim, probably my sim self, with a scrunchie. Where is it? Where is it? Honestly, I've wondered, should I learn to, 3D model a scrunchie and stick it on some other hair with permission, The answer is no. I will probably not do that. But if anyone knows about a scrunchie CC, that is up my alley. Let me know. So you can see here I'm reconsidering the walls, making it more navy. I felt like it was too teal. I did like those other walls in that color, but like the outside versus inside, it just wasn't quite right. It wasn't quite the flow. It was clashing, not matching. So here we are in the new navy world. And this bedroom was the perfect size. I was very happy. But trying to figure out what curtains to put on windows behind the bed. And of course I could have taken the windows out, but I just thought the windows look good there. There should be some more windows. I feel like sometimes I over window a build, and most Sims builders will tell you, you're gonna over window, stop over windowing. But I kind of wanted to over window. You know, there's not much to this house. You need windows to support it. It's a box. So that's why I kept the windows behind there. And I also feel like windows behind a bed is kind of something you do in a renovated home where it wasn't exactly designed for whatever size of furniture you're putting in. That was not how the house was designed. And you're just kind of making it into a bedroom, fitting it in there, doing a different kind of thing. I feel like that makes it look a little more like the house has some history, but you're putting new things in it, which I like. The bathroom here, I love this wall I use, which is kind of like a dark, I guess it's a navy brick, but it's a little more tealy, a little more like aqua-y than I feel like a straight navy is, and I love the texture of it. I think it's so fun. I would love to have like an all navy tile-y, bricky sort of bathroom. I feel like that would be so fun and so nice and like cozy. I love the color blue. I feel like everything I own is the color blue. That is beside the point. But I feel like I've had like an all orangey like tile bathroom before. That was okay. It kind of felt like I was in like a wine cellar dungeon a little bit. But otherwise it was nice. It was nice. And you can see here I'm trying to figure out the right table for this breakfast nook. The breakfast nook area, I was not sure whether to imply that the window seat was an actual seat. I was not quite sure where to go with that. So I kind of went with just having everything out from the table because I needed a bit more space filled up as it goes into the kitchen. Side note about the kitchen. I realized when I was taking pictures of this that I had no sink in the kitchen. Everything but the kitchen sink is contained in this build. I have a bathroom sink, which is good. I guess there's one sink on the lot, bright side. But I probably would have put the kitchen sink underneath like that glass cabinet you can see on the left there, on the like end of the wall that just has one countertop that faces out. I probably would have put it there, maybe somewhere else. I like to try to space out the appliances so it doesn't look too busy. I could have put it to the left of the stove as well. I think I have some kind of decor item there. So you can see I'm messing with a lot of curtains. I couldn't quite figure out what curtains I wanted. Like I was saying about these windows behind the bed, everything kind of clipped through. I kept with these because they didn't clip much. And I'm guessing you probably wouldn't open the window above your bed a lot if you are living in this house. You're probably gonna, keep that shuttered most of the time. So I was trying to figure out what the best color was, and I kind of decided on just neutrals because there was already so much color coming in, and putting another color when I don't already have a strong accent color against that navy, I think was just going to be too much and too dark. And we don't want it to look too dark, right? Like I wanted to keep it airy, keep it like feeling modern, feeling nice. Now that I know what sim would live in this, I did actually wind up creating a sim in order to get in and get non-buy mode photos. Tyra Test. She is my test sim, I guess. She wound up being pretty cool. She just came out randomized with this like sleek black dress and this like updo with her black hair, and I was like, oh, this is definitely who would live in this house. She's like a little bit bougie, she's a little bit classy, she's fun though. Like at heart, she's fun. So I feel like this house really wound up capturing that. She got the right vibe. So I'm just doing details like hanging up pictures here. I I like to try to do, I feel like I see so many paintings from this game because there isn't a huge selection of paintings and they're pretty like memorable. So I'm trying to use CC ones because sometimes when I see a painting in a build of mine that I feel like I use all the time, I'm like, everybody owns the same painting. Everybody owns that same like weird family photo collection. I want it to look a little different. I don't want to be like, that size painting again that I always use on that side wall. So I was trying to mix it up a little bit, use some CC, use some not CC. So like I said, I've been walking in the mornings, and there's some people who I routinely pass, me and my mother who goes out for a walk. And it's interesting. We're running with the theory that perhaps there are vampires living in our neighborhood. Because there's this one guy who we refer to as the actor, who wears this like double-breasted coat that's black, and he holds one of his hands kind of bent and in front of him, and he walks very, posturedly, like he's walking on stage, and he just walks down the street that way. He just walks down the street in like nice clothes. Like we wear athletic clothes or like kick around clothes. This guy is wearing like somewhat formal clothes, like going out, seeing people, audition clothes, and he's just walking around. We see him fairly frequently. It was not just a one-time occasion. He is always like this. But one time we saw this other guy who was wearing, I kid you not, a cloak, a black cloak. It kind of clasped in the front of him on like across the front kind of thing with a little button. He had his hands inside of it. And we said good morning to him, and he said good morning, like that. It was wild. So perhaps vampires live in the neighborhood. We didn't recognize these people. We have been in the neighborhood a long time. Usually people know each other. It's not a very big place. Vampires, possibly. I mean, I don't know. There is zero other explanation. They could not just be people with strange fashion sense. I feel like in The Sims, that would definitely be qualifying for vampirism. Like in The Sims 4, where they have the special, like, vampire walk. Basically, the real-life equivalent of that is these people. I have not played with vampires in a hot sec, I'll tell you. I got Nightlife. Once upon a time, I played Sims 2 on Mac. Then I got a PC so I could play Sims. So I rebought some of the expansion packs, and I finally got Nightlife. That was a few years ago now. And I really love the features, but I've not explored vampires. That is something that I have not done. So I think that's kind of one of the things I'm going to do maybe next in my game. It's something I'm thinking about. But I'm not sure, because I play with only Max's Sims, who exactly would be a vampire. I might turn some of the college kids into that, because you don't really have their family background, so you think like, oh, okay, like, yeah, you could become a vampire, sure. They don't have like a whole family yet where it would be weird and an upset. Maybe I should make it weird and an upset. Like, maybe that's the most like thrilling way to play that. You can see I'm adding sunflowers everywhere. I love the sunflowers in this game. I think they're so great. I love that turning them makes them look very varied. Very varied. Turning them makes them look like different flowers. They don't look like you're just placing the same thing over and over, which I really like. That's about it for this. I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. I love the landscaping, but thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you subscribe to me, ScrunchieSims. You can also follow me on ScrunchieSims.tumblr.com. It's just my Simblr, and I'll post whenever I post videos if you're active there. Let me know what other Sims 2 content you would like to see on this channel. Thanks again for watching.